All right, so this is Go Mobile or Go Home. Now this is going to be a very interactive session. We only have about probably, well, actually one of our panelists is running late, so we have about probably 5 to 7 minutes of content that we're going to set the stage. And then what we really want to do is have a very conversational session where we kind of almost roundtable it and let's talk about what you're seeing in the marketplace. What kind of things do you want to learn about? What kind of strategies do you need to make your business successful? So we're going to keep it really, really interactive. When you do ask questions, please use the microphone. It's on a stand back there. We'll probably just have you guys pass it around, but please speak into the microphone when you ask the question. This session is being recorded and filmed, so if you ask the question that's not on the microphone, you won't be heard when the replay video comes out. So please don't ask your question until you've got the microphone in your hand. Thank you. All right, so today's panel, we have with us Don Batsford, and Don has been a full-time online marketer since 1999 when he worked for CMGI, the firm that originally had the naming rights to the New England Patriots home field, which is going to be interesting how they do this weekend against the Cowboys or the Broncos. It's going to be an interesting game. So Don is also a second-generation internet professional. Don's father worked for BBM, the company critical to shaping what would be the internet. And when the late Senator Ted Kennedy heard in 1968 that the pioneering Massachusetts company BBM had won the ARPA contract for what was called an interface message processor, which had to do with packet switching, who was it sent Senator Ted Kennedy sent a message to Don's father, and it said, "Congratulations on your ecumenical spirit for winning the interfaith message processor." So he didn't have a clue what the internet was all about at that time. Also with us soon will be Ruth Ann Cooper, and I'll do her introduction when she gets here. And then finally we have David Lewis, and let me grab David's bio here really quick. So David's eldest brother Jonathan is a high-energy particle physicist at Fermi Lab. While Jonathan may be able to explain to you the latest theory on how the universe was formed, both he and David's father continue to claim that they don't understand what David does for a living. Anybody here have family members that have a clue what we do for a living, or people that are in your town or whatever else? Absolutely. So in 6th grade, David missed a box on a punch card for the entire year, had to wait a week for each program to run, and when the tractor paper reports printed his name, it looked like that. So one little dangling Chad, and that was your name for all of 6th grade, huh? All right, and then myself, I've been an online marketer since 1999. That's 13 years. And since that time, I've generated about $300 million in revenue online for my clients, both large and small. In 2001, which was 4 years before YouTube existed, I was the very first person to post an infomercial, a television infomercial online. And that actually resulted in an incredible 34% conversion rate for anybody who watched that video, because they were so innovative and new back then. I was one of the early adopters of affiliate marketing and have been sharing my knowledge as a speaker at Affiliate Summit and its predecessor since 2002. So yes, I am a dinosaur in this business. All right, so that's our panel. We will be inviting Ruth Cooper here. As soon as she shows up, we'll get her sat down, settled in, and I'll give you her bio and information as soon as she gets here. But we'll start by talking a little bit about mobile. Does it just look familiar to anybody? Does anybody here have teenagers or anybody here yourself so addicted to your mobile phone that you can't even make eye contact with somebody when you're talking with them because you're looking at your mobile phone? I saw this cartoon a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was pretty applicable to today's session. So let's talk a little bit hear from Don, and he's going to give us his background and talk to us a little bit about Go Mobile or Go Home. Go ahead, Don.
All right, so just to kind of start this off, since we are talking about mobile, I want to put something out there. The phone that you have in your hand, it sucks. It's terrible, and you will look back and be embarrassed that you ever used it. Your kids, your grandkids will think it's a ridiculous device. But we know that. We know how technology works. Your phone sucks, but so did dial-up. And in 1996, when you were dialing up, you knew that that was not what the internet was going to be. And we always say in our businesses, and you do too, if we knew then what we know now, we could have made all of these great investments and we could have been billionaires. Well, you know now what you should know, which is that mobile is going to be gigantic. By 2015, the majority of internet searches in the United States will be on a mobile device. So you know now, it's only 15% now, and then it's going to be the majority within a few months. So if we just go to the next slide, to put that in some numbers, as far as mobile phone adoption, 100% of people in the United States that legitimately could have a phone, 100%. Now, that beats anything. 100% of people don't do anything else together. Only 78% of the people who legitimately could have an internet connection how we traditionally think of it. Now, if you think that every phone is going to be an internet device, which it will be, if they're not mostly already going to be that way in this room, that's millions of extra connections that only exist through a mobile device. These are people you cannot reach through a laptop. You cannot reach through a tower with a monitor next to it. So these people are hiding if you're not mobile, or if you have no plans to go mobile. And by the way, if you could find me in that picture, it's a very embarrassing photo of me. And then, so what's this mean? So if you're talking about people spending their internet experience on a mobile device, that means every way you've ever marketed in your life, every way that any company has ever marketed in their life, they need to rethink it for their mobile device. Direct mail, when it gets opened on a phone, it needs to be different. The phone, we talk about this phone, but very rarely am I thinking of it as an actual device that can make calls on these days. But when you're doing inbound or outbound marketing, pay-per-call, you have to think about how you're interacting if they're on a mobile device rather than land. YouTube and all of the TV that people are going to be watching on their phone, if they're not already. I watch a lot of Netflix and YouTube things on my device already. You have to rethink about the format of that when you're trying to market to people and the way you interact and their calls to action, very specifically for a mobile device. And also just normal things like SEM and SEO. How does that change? People type in things with their thumbs. They might not type as much, or they might type different, or there might be misspells. You have to reconsider all of that when it comes to a mobile device because the universe is different when you're on mobile. So what's this new mentality? The new mentality is, as a company, it's your responsibility not to only go mobile, but you also have to think about how that shapes your whole company from the top down. I'm using 1-800-Flowers not because they did this for mobile, but because it positions them correctly. They're not a client of mine, so I can talk to them. I can talk about them positively. There's several other firms that are already set up for this. By just mentioning 1-800-Flowers.com, they mention their value proposition, which is they sell flowers. That's their product. Bam. They have the full URL in there, so you can type it into the Safari browser or whatever your browser is on your phone. Or, God forbid, you could type the phone number in and give them a call and have that delivered. There's a mattress company of note that does this. There's pet medicines. We all know the people are already set up for this. What this gives is multiple points of entry. You put an @ sign behind this. This is a Twitter address. So this is your responsibility moving forward. If you're going to start a new enterprise, you need to think about this going forward.
All right, thank you very much for that. And we're going to move right into David, and then we'll introduce Ruth, and you can...
I apologize for my tardiness. Family emergency.
You're up.
So as you can see, I love QR codes so much that I've made myself into one that goes to my website. How many people have scanned a QR code using their phone or tablet? We have pretty good penetration here. How many people think QR codes suck? Right, and it's split about 50-50 right now. A lot of people, and I know a lot of marketers who argue against QR codes, saying they'll never take off. And right now there are two things holding back QR codes. Number one is it's not built into iOS or Android. It's not standard on every single phone, so it's not used quite as widely. Then the other is that marketers just don't get it on this one yet. Very often it takes time for people to do it and try things out. If you think about it, I was having a discussion with somebody who said, well, I can use Google Goggles and just scan anything and then I can search based on that. But if I'm a marketer, let's say I'm doing cornflakes. I can have somebody take a picture of a box of cornflakes and they can go to the cornflakes website for Kellogg's. But as a marketer, I want to have some type of contest for it. I want to have it on the big box, a different one on the little box. I want to have something in store. If it's a QR code and somebody scans it, then I can take them to where I want. I can actually control the message that they're seeing. So there's a lot more that needs to come with QR codes. I think we have an example next.
Mobile.
Oh, okay. Do we have the Tesco?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Sorry. They didn't get loaded.
Okay, yes, the technology sucks, as Don was saying. If you go to YouTube and look for Tesco South Korea, I recommend you take a look at this video. What Tesco did, it's a supermarket chain, is in subway stations, they put a store. They put the image of a store, and for every product there's a QR code. So you can be waiting for the subway and scan a QR code, adds it to your shopping cart, you go home, and your groceries get delivered to you. It's absolutely brilliant. There's a lot that's being done. Sears is actually testing that out with poster-sized ads around the U.S. to see if they can get that to take. So there's a lot more that can be done.
I'm going to pull it up really quick.
If you can.
We got
About 40 seconds in is where they really show.
TSCO?
We don't need the intro. TESCO.
Yeah, got it. Virtual subway store?
Yep.
Okay.
Go 40 seconds in. The technology sucks, but it's not useless.
Yeah.
Right, Tom?
We'll overcome.
I just said your phone sucked.
Oh, okay.
Technology in general is very useful.
Still not as good as
Okay, so we don't have sound, but we can at least watch this real quick on the screen. And Dave, if you want to comment as we're taking a look at that. There's 40 seconds right there. Explain how shopping in Korea is. We're talking about how shopping in Korea is so brutal.
Right. But I mean, grocery shops is grocery shopping. Here you can see they're putting up the posters there, and that's the store.
And you should mention, just to make it, if it's not obvious, these are photos. This is not an actual set of shelves, and these are ads they've bought to emulate the shopping experience.
So if you could do this, do you still think QR codes suck? I'm sorry, I can't hear. Right, you save time because you're waiting for your train. You go shopping, you go home and it gets delivered to you. You don't actually have to go into a store. You don't have to fight the crowds in the store or take the time.
All right. So affiliates gone mobile.
Right, so as far as, affiliates gone mobile, anybody gone mobile, I actually don't have it in front of me. Right, so there are different things you can do. How many folks here have a website, whether you're a publisher or an advertiser, affiliate or merchant? What do you know? It's a shock. How many have a mobile site? Right, it's not that many, but as people go mobile, by 2014 or 2015, it's projected that more people will be using this than a desktop or laptop in the U.S. to access the internet. Right now, the rest of the world, this is what most people use to access it. So if you don't have a mobile site, you're missing out. If you looked at your website on this size screen, it's not all that easy to read, and it needs to be updated to fit there. How many people have mobile apps? Another way to reach them, and one advantage you can have is, since you can browser sniff, is you'll know if somebody's on a phone, if they're on a tablet, or if they're on a PC, and you can offer them either the right site or the opportunity to download an app. We discussed QR codes. Pay-per-call, there was actually a session right before this one that discussed pay-per-call, but in affiliate marketing, that is starting to take off. There's some issues in affiliate marketing with tracking. So with pay-per-call, there aren't the same tracking issues. That actually does track, but they don't actually cookie properly all the time. So if you're using affiliate links, you should make sure that a merchant does properly track and that you will get commissions on that. So that's one thing that's holding it back a little bit right now. Okay, I'm going to predict, let's see, what everybody in this room has in their pocket and generally takes with them all the time. You have your keys, your wallet, and your phone. And I'm going to predict that at least 42% of you will admit that there's only one of them you always take to the bathroom with you. The phone is prevalent. It goes everywhere. As Don was saying, everyone has one. So that if you want to be, with your customer, you need to be on their phone. They need to be able to have access to your site, to your app on their phone.
All right, thanks for that, and David. And with that, I'd like to introduce Ruth. I'm glad you could make it. You were charging into the room like you owned it, so that's cool. I'll just do a little quick introduction, and then you can jump right into your slides. Is that all right? Okay, so Ruth is a serial entrepreneur and has been in the mobile space since 1993. Her first business was a distribution arm for Cellular One Chicago, selling bag phones and brick phones. Had a brick. To Fortune 500 enterprises. Her mother told her she was crazy because nobody is going to buy those damn phones except the elite. Ruth replied, "Someday you'll only have a wireless phone and wire lines will be obsolete." So good prediction of the future there, Ruth.
Thanks.
Her experience spans across wireless and software. Her last business, although her largest business-to-business client was Sprint, her business-to-consumer project was driven by her love for golf, and she developed a portal for female golfers and became a golf teaching professional. As vice president at Single Touch Interactive, she worked with the likes of Walmart, Kohl's, Hy-Vee, MTV, and CoverGirl. Thanks for joining us, Ruth.
Thank you.
And we'll get started with your slides. I don't know if you've got them there.
I do, yeah.
And go ahead.
So obviously, most of you are familiar with the fact that it's not a matter of if somebody's going to, or if an affiliate or a business or a customer is going to get into the mobile space. It's a matter of when. And it's really critical to look at it not only as a mobile, as a siloed event, but as an integrated approach to your entire holistic marketing. You have to incorporate, all the social channels, your website. You can't. How many have ever executed any mobile campaign? All right, good. What kind of success rate did you see? Moderate? Yeah, the beauty of mobile, of course, is the fact that everything is measurable and trackable. And the key to ensuring success is working with a partner that you can really be strategic about how you approach the campaigns and the market in general. To David's point, QR codes are powerful. They're really just like no different than a URL or a website. But integrating a short code into the QR code kind of hits both ends of the spectrum. So you're not going to lose somebody if they don't have the ability to scan that QR code. And that's something that a lot of people don't do. So you've got a mobile site, right? Did you build that specifically, or did you build an HTML5, or is it a separate site? Okay. Did you do that yourself? Nice job. What kind of, do you measure your success on that site? Okay. How many people also integrate into the social networking channels?
Mobile
It's really, when I work with my clients, I talk about mobile, like I said, not just as a siloed event, but really a mobile strategy, and incorporating all of those channels in is the only way that you're going to see success with that. If you send out a random campaign and you get the opt-ins, if it's not promoted anywhere, it's not going to be efficient. Maybe somebody could give me an example of what type of campaign they've used.
Any volunteers, mobile campaigns that you've executed so far?
Okay. So I think particularly in your business and in the affiliate business, mobile can not only be used as a external tool, but also an internal tool. So you can really communicate more and more efficiently and more effectively with your customer bases. For example, if you've got an urgent promotion or something that just recently came out, mobile is the most expedient way to get there. In addition to that, of course, because of the take rates being at 97%, whereas email sometimes, as we all know, can get lost in translation and sit in your email box for up to several days. You're going to see an immediate response from a text message and drive a call to action, which is really the keys to the castle and the chasm. You can switch to the next slide. Sorry, I'm a little flustered here. The statistics are clear that there's 187 billion texts in 2010, and those numbers are going to continue to climb. So having the ability to communicate and engage directly with your customers and on the device that they have with them all the time, and as David mentioned, you bring it to the bathroom. Well, when you're sitting at TV or watching TV, most people don't have their laptop sitting next to them, but they always have their phone, right? So if you incorporate a short code or a QR code, you're extending the life of all of your traditional marketing. Not only that, it's trackable. Any business, regardless of what size, they're going to spend X amount of money on their traditional marketing budget, whether it's in the paper. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and hospitality certainly is a great vertical for mobile marketing. They don't have a marketing department, and this can give you real-time measurable results anytime. Switch to the next slide. And I can't stress enough how important it is to integrate all of your traditional and layering the mobile and the social on top of all of your traditional marketing is key. The slide clearly demonstrates. That's okay. The importance of that, and it's a partnership between your provider and your client, because they've got to take the necessary steps to make this successful as well. And something that I've experienced with some of my clients, like the March of Dimes, is a great example. They use multiple different keywords, and of course they can drive donations. They can sign up for volunteers. There's lots of different campaigns and fun, creative, different ways that you can leverage SMS, MMS, and video. You can switch to the next slide. And this just, of course, talks more about the QR codes, but it's, in my opinion, it's critical to include in every QR code also have a short code, because you don't ever want to leave any stone unturned. So this just talks about a couple of the bullet points and different ways that affiliates can, I can present and think of a use case for everybody and any business on how they can leverage mobile, and rightfully so. But there are certainly certain verticals that are going to be more that have embraced this more than others. And I don't know how many, particularly what the audience here is relative to what your industry is, but bless you. But you can certainly you can use, like I was talking about, different trivia. You could do a game. You could do a scavenger hunt. We did that at CTAA a couple of years ago, and it was kind of fun. So multiple different ways that you can leverage mobile. Everything is certainly, it's not difficult. Oftentimes technology can be very intimidating, which is part of the barrier that we have. But once you get over that and you kind of realize how simple it is, and you approach it with open eyes and work together with whatever partner you have, I think that you'll see great success.
All right, so thank you very much for that, Ruth. And now we're going to open up for audience questions, discussions. And I do have, as I mentioned before, some prizes that have been donated to us by some, I think everybody is in the audience that donated. So first of all, we have lovely Fairy Tale Brownies that Hillary from Fairy Tale Brownies donated. Thank you, Hillary. We have, that was my name. We have a couple of copies of Twitter Revolution, which was written by Deborah Misick and Warren Whitlock, and I'm not sure if Warren made it up. He was going to come up right after lunch, but I don't know if you see him here. And then for those of you who have heard Gino Prusikoff speak this weekend, we have 2 copies of his book, Affiliate Program Management in an Hour a Day. Excellent book for anybody who's running their own affiliate program. I don't care how advanced you are. I've been running affiliate programs for a decade, and I learned a lot of stuff out of this book. So the first 6 people to ask great questions. If you ask a stupid question, I'm not giving you a prize, seriously. So the first 6 people to ask great questions at the microphone will get their choice of prizes, and first come, first serve on the prizes. So be first in line to get the prize you want. And let's get going. Oh, it's a race.
David mentioned that there were tracking issues, and then Karen, right? Yeah, mentioned that everything is trackable. So I'd like the 2 of you to address that issue.
How long have you been in affiliate marketing, sir?
Oh, I don't know, 15 years, 18
You've
years?
worked with a few affiliate networks, and I love the affiliate networks I work with, but there often are some issues that come up. I had a loyalty site which we would have issues of customer service of transactions are missed; they're not always tracked. Anybody who's tried to build a URL where you take an existing URL and try to append it onto an affiliate link doesn't always work. Why don't those work 100% of the time? Same question is, why don't they work 100% of the time on mobile? And there is some technology that needs to be implemented on the merchant side to ensure that affiliate links track through the shopping cart on mobile devices. And that's not always done. In fact, it's a fraction of the time that it happens. So you can talk to your network rep or the merchant themselves and find out if they're tracking.
So, Ruth, you agree with that, or?
I think that the biggest barrier that we have relative to QR codes is the fact that it lies in the hands of the mobile device makers. And until somebody comes up with a ubiquitous software application that's going to address that, we're going to be in the same position.
And I am myself an affiliate in my company. We do mobile campaigns as an affiliate, and what we're finding is that we can't always trust the web page itself to track, so we rely on phone number for pay-per-call, and also we rely on if there's some other way that we can drive them. We're always making sure that we're realizing that the landing page is not reliable for lead generation. It tracks a lot, but we know we're losing sales because of it.
Thanks for that question, Brad. Don't go anywhere. Steve, take a picture of that line, because I was laughing because I said I had 6 prizes, and there was exactly 6 people in line for the first several minutes, and then the brave soul got up there and said, my question's so important, I'll even ask a question without a prize. But I'm going to make sure you get a prize. You are going to get some brownies. So number 7, and don't worry, we got prizes for everyone. So Brad, come on up and grab your prize, and the next person, please ask your question.
Sure, my name's Ryan. I got real interested in QR codes about a year ago, spending time in Asia and seeing how this is not a trend that's going away. Done a lot of campaigns with dentists, putting QR codes on the back of T-shirts and accentuating all sorts of. I got stories, but one of the questions I had for you that I feel like is a weakness of QR codes is the carriers not embracing it yet. So like location. So if a QR code is scanned in Southeast Asia, I'd love to know that it was scanned in Southeast Asia, where I don't have the ability to do that. There's limited analytics associated with QR codes, and that's my beef with it. And I'd love to know how you're able to track the efficiency of one QR code over another versus just basic analytics. 15 QR codes for 15 different reasons.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by scanning, because if it's scanned, it's not the physical scanning that is tracked. What's tracked is the link it goes through. So
right.
Once it goes through a link, if you have 15 QR codes, you have 15 different URLs on them, and you're going to see the location based on the browser information that you're getting.
The location of the person who scans them?
Sure. I mean, if I scan something and it takes me to a website, I'm in Las Vegas. The carrier knows I'm in Las Vegas, so that's how they'll know the location. It's not inherent. There's no difference between the QR code is just a representation of information. So if it's a representation of a URL, it doesn't matter if somebody types the URL in or if they scan it, right? But you have some control when they scan it of what that precise URL is.
Sweet. So the answer is that it already exists. You're tracking where people are using your QR codes by just simply looking at your analytics and finding out where they are.
Well, if you have a URL that's just your website, and that's it, and there's no tag on there to know that it came from a specific QR code, then you have no way to tell. So
it has to go back to a Google Analytic or an Omniture or some sort of tracking where if I just want to send them to Facebook, I won't get that. If I just want them to act upon a coupon, I can't get that via the QR code.
Right.
And do we see any sort of carriers jumping on board, getting ready, not manufacturers, going to be carriers being able to do a trifecta to find out where so-and-so was when he scanned that QR code? Do you know? Do you think?
Well, since there's no registration of QR codes, I don't know how that would happen.
Okay.
But it could be a good use case and start a business.
I can tell you that from the carrier's perspective, with short codes, depending on how intuitive the platform that you're leveraging is, you can drill down and find out, to your point, exactly to the location. And as things kind of advance in the market, we're going to see other functionality like LBS and geo-tracking that will provide those services.
I know this is an additional question. I'll be brief. Who do you see as the pioneer in the software to be able to facilitate an agency or to facilitate the tracking of QR successes?
I think there's a lot of companies, and it's going to be everybody will jump on the bandwagon, but there are certain platforms out there now that do some and not all of that functionality, but it's I really can't identify somebody who's a leader.
Okay, thank you.
All right, come on up, grab a prize, and next question.
In keeping with the tracking-related questions, one thing that I think about a lot is the multi-screen tracking and how many customers may be lost by starting a search on a mobile device or on a phone and then completing on an iPad or maybe even going to a third device, a laptop. Is anybody looking for solutions to this issue?
The only thing that's close to that is there's something referred to as fingerprint identification. Some networks are now coming up with what they see as a fingerprint. And this is still in flux. The concept generally is looking for sessions that share very, very specific criteria, whether it be an IP address, whether it be the way they were referred. And it does exist. We can talk after. I don't want to pitch certain networks here, but they're looking for, say, this IP address. If somebody happens to go to whatever site X, they're looking at something very specifically. Then it swaps, that same IP swaps devices, does it, you can almost infer that that happens. Of course, a merchant has to want that to track, and the affiliate has to understand that it has to be a relationship. Outside of that, if you have, there's also the concept of promo codes, where the promo code doesn't need a link. It can bounce off the last click. And because the promo code is assigned to an affiliate ID, so therefore it could be that there's never a click. So whenever that's used, so you could put it in the back of a biplane and sail it over a beach, and if they type that promo code in, it will track. So that I don't know what kind of screen a biplane is, but that's a different type of medium. It will track that way too.
There are companies that do multi-channel attribution. I have a friend who had an online store, and he opened an affiliate program, and he had some feelings about it and wanted to be able to validate whether the affiliate channel was adding value or whether specific affiliates were adding value or just piggybacking on his other marketing efforts. He sold the company, but he then started building this technology out, and he's told me, I haven't played with it to find out how effective it is, but he says that he can actually go through and track users to see if they've come in from multiple sources, even on different devices.
Okay, I was going to say multiple media channels we definitely can see, but multiple devices is still the challenge I haven't seen. So.
He says they've come up with the way to be able to tell that the company's name is Convertro, Convertro, so you can check them out.
There are a lot of software companies that produce white label software for the operators that that are in the process of building out technologies just like that, because obviously, to your point, it's all about the measurement, and as we become more and more granular in our approach to this, and we all want to have the demographics and the profile information down to when the Gap is sending me a text message, or I don't want him to send me something about the baby Gap. I want him to send me something about they have tall pants on sale. So I think that you'll start to see that in the next year.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Hi. So my question is about information and resources more around the industry. So what I'm finding is that there are a ton of resources on the desktop side about what people are doing to get to various websites and how people are searching and all that sort of thing, which is really insightful and useful. But on the mobile side, I'm having trouble finding a good resource. Can you make any suggestions?
The Mobile Marketing Association has great demographics. We are in the process of building our library, but we get all of our information from the Mobile Marketing Association and CTIA. There's several of other SMS, MMS
Ruth, what's
marketing.
CTIA? You want to spell that out so we know what that is?
I'm sorry, I forgot where it's the Communications, Telecom, and Internet Association.
Thank you.
That's the governing body for all telecom. But the Mobile Marketing Association would be your best bet.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a quick question about, do you recommend having a subdomain with like m dot your domain name, or do you recommend any WordPress plugins that automatically do this for you, or?
I would recommend keeping everything ubiquitous and simple, and
Okay.
and by doing so, just keep it all the same. Yeah.
What you can do is just discover with the agent. You just have serve up a different version based on the type of browser or the type of device they're on. And that way you won't confuse the customer with the M dot. And so then as things change, it's not future proof, but you don't have to say, I can't come up with a different type of device. Let's say a fourth type of device comes out there. You don't have to then make an additional one. You'll just change, and you're just smarter than they are then.
Yeah.
You could even get a short code that that you can use that would be serve the same purpose as well.
Yeah, I know, like automatically you can have like a choice to switch to the full site version or the mobile version. Do you recommend that? That way they can see the full site, or? Right.
So when we can talk about this offline, but essentially when you're coding up a site, it's very, very straightforward to know what they're coming on, what type of browser, for example. And you can serve a specific, if you wanted to, you could, this is in the cloaking thing you probably hear about. People will sometimes serve different versions of a website for different users. Sometimes they use that for white hat versions, sometimes they do it for black hat things. And the long and the short of it is essentially, it's very easy to say, if somebody is using this type of device, serve this site. Very straightforward, or a browser, or they're in a certain part of the country, for example. We can talk about it. It's really straightforward, though.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
So that was my question too, but one question I had is like with Google Wallet, you showed a picture of somebody just having their keys, their wallet, and their phone. But do you think it's going to get to the point where you're not going to need your wallet anymore? I mean, to pay for things? I mean, I just haven't seen Google Wallet take off, but like it seems like it'd be awesome, because you don't have to worry about your credit cards being lost or stolen. I mean, you're not, it's the same chance of losing your phone, but it's just one thing to worry about less.
Absolutely.
Why do you need your keys? Right. I walk up to my car, and it took my kids a while to figure this one out of how it is I could open the car without anything in my hands.
It's true. Yeah, you don't even need your key. Right.
Right. So why can't my phone do that as well? So at some point, yeah, probably. I don't think we're going to have flying cars like the Jetsons anytime soon, but this should be in our lifetimes.
Also, a lot of patents have been filed recently for proximity payments, and that's been a buzz. It's probably all they're talking about, across the street, where phones will be payments. So I don't know that the hardware is catching up with even the capabilities that exist. As far as U.S., in other parts of the world, there are more adoption rates of phones being payment systems, but since we're in Vegas, the U.S. isn't there yet.
Well, in Japan, it's mainstream.
Oh, wow.
So, and it has been for a couple of years, and that is definitely going to be our future. There's several software companies that are already working with the operators to do that. Chase Bank is right up there, and I was working on several different initiatives with that, with Single Touch 6 years ago. So.
And I had one just other question. I mean, so I've helped my brother out. I do affiliate marketing, but I've helped my brother as a doctor get new patients who've asked if we run campaigns. So I've done AdWords, I've done Yahoo and Bing, and it's really interesting to see that I almost get as many clients for him or paid new patients in mobile as I do on the regular desktop. But my question is, I don't have an HTML5 site. Like I don't, and that was my question, is I should be having it recognize the browser and then serve a page specific even though like most of the page loads fine on an iPhone or Android device, but you should have a tailored landing page, right, for mobile.
Well, if you work with a partner, that's usually something that they offer, because to build a small little mobile website is really not difficult, and it's pretty cost efficient. Okay. And you can essentially basically duplicate your branding and just bring that to the mobile device without having to recode your entire site and build it in HTML5.
And I should see the conversion rates probably go up, right? Because it's...
I'm sorry?
I should see the conversion rates go up probably because it loads faster.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you can make it just more streamlined and more simple, just to drive whatever action you're looking to drive, whereas websites are really now just informative. And Facebook is obviously two-way engagement, as is mobile. So that's
great.
what I would recommend.
And you mentioned HTML5, and there's a move towards HTML5 and away from apps, which Apple really doesn't want to talk about because it takes away control. If you look at Financial Times, it bought the agency that built its app, and this is after it pulled out of the App Store, told Apple, we have nothing to do with you, gone full HTML5, and a lot of people predicted that Financial Times would see, things start heading down, it's a stodgy old company that doesn't get it. Well, guess what? Its mobile traffic has gone up. What it's seeing on the iPad has gone up, not down when it's not working through the iTunes store. Also for stodgy companies, Walmart, and to the point of payments. Walmart bought the agency that built its app. It's also buying the agencies that handle its social media because they see it as that critical to the success of their business.
Thank you.
Great question. I work for a medium-sized retail outfit, and our resources are kind of slim when it comes to marketing. Our social media is kind of lackluster, and their email is, it's okay. What do you think the urgency of mobile technology like this is? Now? Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Those who are early to adopt are certainly going to see a hockey stick to their efforts and see immediate return on their investment. It's like I said when I opened my presentation, it's not a matter of if anymore; it's a matter of when. And now in the next year, we're going to see such a tremendous increase in mobile technology, and I definitely would recommend that you get to moving on that.
I would say make sure your email's working well. That's something that's measurable, it's known, and there are a lot of providers who can help you with that. Social media marketing, what is that? How do you measure that? So that, I would say that mobile is more important because I can tell you what it is. Mobile is making sure people using this or people using this can interact with you, and your store, can they buy through those devices? Whereas, are they buying through Facebook and Twitter? It's like that, not so much it's a way to message to them, but this is something that's like saying, do I need a web host?
But then, of course, integrating that approach with the social networking channels is essential. And you can measure, Facebook is basically going to be the internet, and websites are going to be secondary. Everything that you can do on Facebook, everything you do on a website, you can do on Facebook, and it's free. So, it's going to be interesting to watch how this whole thing plays out. But you can, of course, you can get your analytics from Facebook as well, and certainly email is important. But yeah, I would definitely recommend moving forward on that.
So it's all priority, and you should have started yesterday.
Okay, thank you.
Point counterpoint. So we like to at least have some fisticuffs on panels. However, Facebook is a platform that is owned by a private corporation. It could be public soon, but it's still owned by somebody. Whereas the internet and your website, you can use. It's an open platform. It is not owned. It's not that somebody can change their mind on a whim. Whereas Facebook could change its policy, and lo and behold, you just lost your business. How many people saw their traffic go down with Panda? Thank you for the honesty. I'm sure it's several times that. Google, if you rely on SEO or if you rely on SEM, Google changes the algorithm for SEO. It changes its policies for SEM. If that's your livelihood and you have all of your eggs in one basket, you could see your business vanish in a day. And so if you rely solely on Facebook as the platform, I think you do need to use it and figure it out, but I think it's not as well understood as some things, but relying on that is dangerous.
Well, and I didn't say rely. I said I said integrate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It does answer my question. I mean, I hope these two hug it out afterwards, but
They told me when we were talking about the panel that they wanted to have some debate, so I'm just trying to
Love debate.
trying to comply.
all right, thank you guys.
I got 2 more boxes of brownies up here, folks. So one for you and another question. We've still got 15 minutes, so don't be shy. Anybody else? Thanks for your question. Come on up to the microphone if you don't mind, please.
Why do you feel like QRC codes are an insurance policy against the web and the powers that be on the web?
No, I don't think QR codes are. I think having your own website, having your own, not relying on somebody else's platform.
But the advertising that we all rely on with Facebook and Google would have to come through somewhere. So then it would be traditional print with QR codes on it. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like driving traffic is all of our goals, right? And so, Google and those and Facebook changes it up, and all of a sudden we can't do the things that we currently do. What's your vision for that? The worst case scenario, Google decides to turn us all upside down and shape real hard.
Actually, I'm going to jump in here and help you out because I get to be the tiebreaker on this. I had this conversation yesterday when the concept was should we be building content for other companies? And because we were talking about how I was on Instagram, I was on Foursquare, I was on Twitter, Facebook, I was building content for other companies. And I was talking with Scott Jangro, and he said, you need to build your business. And I value his opinion. And not that you don't want to use those things, but the core mentality that now I think, and I've taken I forget if it's the red or the blue pill, but now that I've kind of seen this, with the Matrix reference there, what I'm realizing is that ideally it would be great if we could build businesses. Now, this as an affiliate, this gets more challenging, but as I'm building a business, you don't need those, so that you will get a community, whether it's word of mouth or whether it's growing, that eventually gets to a point where your content is first. Then you use those channels to refer back to the content on your sites, in your world, and so that you own it. So I see the value of being active in social marketing, and not that you should ignore it. You shouldn't close those doors. But if it's a priority of building a mobile site so that it's an asset your company has, or coming up with something fun that has a half-life in social marketing, I think making a core asset, building that foundation is very important. It can't be underestimated.
Right, and to go back to another part of your question, the last question, notice the answer that I gave. The first thing was email. Own your customer, right? If you need to rely on getting your customer to keep coming to you through Google or coming through Facebook or coming through some other way, if those companies don't ask that question, they don't ask, well, am I relying on somebody else? They own the customer. So can you get them through email? Can you have an app that is so engaging that they want to use it every day and come back to you? And the point that I was going on with what Ruth had said was, Facebook will become the internet. That was Facebook as a platform. You should use Facebook for marketing. Maybe use banners for marketing. I was a go-to, so I've been anti-banner since I drank that Kool-Aid. But whatever you can use, spread yourself out so you don't just rely on one. So if Panda changes, okay, so we've gone down with that, but we still market to our customers. We still engage them through email. They're still coming back to us.
All right, at the microphone.
Okay, so in what ways regarding SEO do you do things differently when you're dealing with a mobile website?
Right. So just one of the things I mentioned is misspellings, for example. And I don't know if in your SEO strategy you have that, but I'm terrible. I'm always mistyping. So as far as for me, when I'm marketing it, SEM-wise, we have misspells very predominantly on mind when we're looking to build keyword lists. Now, obviously, those go hand in hand on your SEO strategy. If you also think about that. Not that that shouldn't be important, but the autocorrect that is happening is almost times 2 with the phone, because when I'm typing in, stupid things are coming up in my searches that I don't want, depending on the type of device. So you have an autocorrect that's trying to guess what you want.
So you actually incorporate the misspellings into your title tags and body copy?
Yes, but not to excess. I think we do, and we have a strategy for it. But you can't stuff them. But you can mention that these are misspellings on a page, and just be honest with it. You say, otherwise known as, or quite commonly mistyped as. And those are things you can say. If you're honest and you're adding value and getting people to where they want to go, that's not misleading. That's being helpful. But if you're doing something, you're just cramming a page full of junk, you're going to just get kicked off SEO-wise like you would anywhere else. It depends on the advertiser or the merchant's own kind of relationship with their consumer. And you know best where they're being led astray, and you can incorporate that and fix that problem.
So, and I assume to Don's point, everybody reads or has looked at Damn You Autocorrect. But we were all really busy last night and probably didn't see that the President of the United States won the BCS title. What happened is iOS autocorrects Bama to Obama. So everybody's posting about Obama winning.
That's some gold right there, Don. I tell you, because my company, we've done really, really well with misspellings and things like that, and I hadn't even thought about the autocorrect, so I'm going to take that back to my team and going to owe you a commission for that idea. So thanks for that one. Gold.
How about some brownies?
How about some brownies?
So anything relating to like mobile XHTML or link building or anything that you do differently?
Well, the problem here is I think that when you're talking about search engine strategies and when you're doing like SEO, sometimes trying to just work for the algorithm, the cliche, and I hate to say this, I can't believe I'm going to say it, is sometimes we're trying to build this for the user and not for the search engine, and I feel like a complete jerk for saying that, because it's so much what they say to tell us to do and not what you legitimately should do. You should build it for the search engine algorithm and not pay attention to the customer. But in this, I'm legitimately trying to get people over. So if you find that in your industry there are other mobile sites that rank on those keywords, I mean, that's the thing. You take your mobile device, you find out what they are, and you can get a link in there. It's not for the link juice, it's actually for the legitimate pairing of those two together. And that's one case. Because it is a new and growing medium, people don't have their habits formed yet. And so you can be there early. And that's how the web was. That's why Backrub and that patent and all that initial paper when they were college kids was so useful, is because the community was actually trying to help each other out, and links were votes of confidence. And that's where we are now in the mobile web.
But are you trying to build links to a .mobi or an M. mobile site, or are you trying to just build link authority to your main site and then you're detecting the user agent and serving a mobile page up?
Like I said earlier, it's a great question. It's similar to subdomain. The new mentality is one brand for all versions, and I believe that is still .com. I don't believe anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Unless you have a really kick-butt .co or .mobi that it's going to be a juggernaut. It would be silly for you not to use it. But if you have a brand that's established, don't confuse them. Just people trust .coms, and they're going to trust your conversion rate will be higher, for one. And two, you don't have to guess what the next iPad is. It's just going to be that same brand, keeps on trucking along. Because you'll notice, as I said, your phone sucks. Because what I'm saying right now is that there's so many versions of it. We were talking before the session with somebody who was attending, and they were talking about SMS messaging, and we were talking about how on lead generation you should collect mobile, zip code, and email, because the mobile number is the email address that people are keeping longer now than the actual email address. People are changing jobs and stuff, but they're carrying their phone around with them, their phone number around with them, and so that you can have that relationship much longer. And the problem with phones in general is that the technology changes so often that trying to guess through a branding of a URL or something like that, I think you do yourself a disservice in the long run, whether it's an affiliate site or a merchant site, to brand it as something that's only that. I made this mistake the hard way, by the way. I, in full disclosure, used to believe the exact opposite when the mobile, and I had a complete WAP service offering about 10 years ago that was all WAP URLs, and we were very engaged with that, and all the feature phones, and we thought that people would appreciate WAP-centric content and shopping, things like that. And boy, I wish we hadn't done that, because it was a waste of time. And now I'm in the belief that, you know what, I'm just going to assume that whatever I'm dealing with is obsolete already, and just think of just branding for the future, which is one brand.
All right, thank you. I'm going to ask the last question of the session, and I didn't prep you guys that I was going to ask this question. So I always like to make sure when I come to a session, I want something actionable. What can I do right now that I can apply and start to grow my business? So I'm going to ask each of the panelists, for the members of the audience, what can they do? What's the first thing they should be doing tonight or tomorrow when they get back to the office to make sure that their business is leveraged for this oncoming mobile revolution? What's the first thing they should be doing? We'll start with Don.
The first thing you should do is you should get your mobile device and then the other flavor, probably an Android or an Apple, whichever you don't. And you should do a search for three things. You should do a search for your brand, you should do a search for the category you're in, and for a product or service you sell. And then see how you fare. And then you should take all the good ideas of everybody else that's in your industry and you should implement them. That's what you should do.
Great advice. And for David?
You should take your device and see how your site looks on it. You should borrow the other one, as Don said. You should take a look at an iPad. What I do to test to see how our apps look on other devices is I go to Best Buy and I use every single device there and take a look. It's great. I can look at every screen size of an Android device right there. The salespeople, I think, have gotten used to me coming in every now and then. And
you're feeding into their CEOs crying about people coming in and just using their stuff and buying it elsewhere. You're just using it for testing.
Yeah, I don't want to buy every single one because I don't need it for that long since it's gone. But do that, and also do you have a mobile strategy? If not, talk to your customers and find out what it is, how they use devices, how they use your service, and figure out, do you need mobile website, mobile app, what do you need? Because you have to be ready for it. It is the future, and actually it is the present.
Great advice. And Ruth?
Bless you. Text Ruth to 21777, and you stole my answer. Of course, to piggyback onto to David, you should absolutely plan and execute on a mobile strategy, and ask your customers how they want to be communicated to. And I think that bless you, that you'll see that mobile is the primary means of communication.
All right, and that will wrap up today's session. Go mobile or go home. And speaking of going home, this is the last session of the day. Thank you all for sticking with us, and I hope you all have safe travels. Thank you to Ruth and David and Don, our illustrious panel.